This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello, welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put the South at the center. I'm Dhanya Rajendran, your host, joining from Bengaluru. And with me in the studio is not my usual co-host, my colleague Pooja Prasanna, but instead it's Anisha Sheth, the Karnataka Bureau Chief of the News Minute. Anisha, welcome to South Central.
Thank you, Dhanya.
If you're wondering where Pooja is, there's no big mystery about it. She's gone to Kerala to cover the elections. She has many of our bureau people also along with her and her producer Megha Mugundan. We have Srinivasan Jain in Assam now. Manisha Pandey will be going to Bengal very soon. So we are covering all these elections quite extensively. But that's not possible if you do not pay money for our coverage. In fact, I have been pretty disappointed at something, Anisha. I normally go for all events and talk about how I believe the Malayalam media is little better than Telugu or Kannada, right? But this election has proved me wrong so badly. I have been seeing video packages across Malayalam channels where it's a clear advertisement, especially for two fronts, as of now I can see, and there is no disclaimer like, extolling what the government has done or what the other party is going to do. No disclaimers, absolutely. And reporters are fronting these packages as if they are news packages. I am so disappointed with Malayalam news channels coverage. Apparently in print also there are articles which are actually editorials.
Yeah, but this thing was flagged a long time ago. Remember that entire series that Pisana did on paid news during elections?
I know, but you think that these channels which are constantly talking about media ethics and looking down upon some Hindi channel would behave differently, right?
No, but yeah, if they just come out clean and say, okay, we are paid to do this, it's fine, right?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not even blaming the political parties here because it is their job to get these things out there. I'm blaming the media. Anyway, we're not taking any ads, not like we don't get these offers, but we are completely depending upon our subscribers, our readers, our listeners. So if you want Srinivasan Jain, Shabir, Manisha Pandey, Atul, Pooja, and everybody else to travel and cover these elections, do click on the link. It's in the description or use this QR code. So first we'll go to the headlines.
Let's start with Andhra. The Lok Sabha passes bill to declare Amravati as the Andhra Pradesh capital. This comes, we are 12 years now, right? From 2014. The Lok Sabha passed a bill today and Amravati becomes Andhra Pradesh's permanent capital, and this bill amends the 2014 Act which made Hyderabad the common capital of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana for 10 years. Next we go on to gruesome news from Visakhapatnam. Navy employee held for murdering his partner, storing body parts in fridge. So a petty officer of the Indian Navy had been arrested in Visakhapatnam on charges of murdering a woman that he was in a romantic relationship with. Chintada Ravindra is alleged to have killed Maunika, dismembered her and stored some of the body parts in a fridge at his house. He later surrendered to the police.
I just want to add one thing here. This Chintada Ravindra was married to another woman and he had a relationship with Monica apparently for quite a few years. And the reason why he surrendered to the police is that he had taken the head and some parts and burnt it in a forest area. But he could not, in his panic, figure out where to dispose of the other parts, which is when he went and surrendered to the police. I want to point out that in 2022, when Shraddha Walker was killed in Delhi in a similar fashion, for weeks and weeks and weeks, we saw polarizing coverage because the murderer was a Muslim in that case. Let's not forget that this time you will not be hearing even a whimper from most of these channels. And that is how even a murder, which could happen in any setting, can be communalized by the very media that you trust, which you shouldn't.
Yeah, there was another case in Bangalore where this happened, right? Some time back where a woman was murdered and put in a fridge. Next, we go on to Kerala, where election mode is in full swing. But amid that, we have director Ranjit arrested over fresh sexual harassment complaint by a woman actor. So the Ernakulam Central Police arrested director Ranjit, who is a filmmaker and writer, Ranjit Balakrishnan, after a woman filed a complaint accusing him of sexual harassment. According to the police, the complainant alleged that Ranjit had behaved inappropriately on the set of a film which is currently under production.
So I just want to add here, for those who are unaware of Malayalam cinema, Ranjit Balakrishnan is an iconic director in Malayalam. He's a veteran, in fact. He was the president of the Chalachitra Academy. And when the Hema Committee report came out, there were two people who said that they had been sexually harassed by Ranjit. One was a woman from Kolkata, one was a woman actor from Kolkata. Those two cases against him were quashed. Especially in the woman actor's case, the court said that, oh, this complaint is coming after 15 years. And now this has happened again. Ranjit has gone into a caravan. From what we know, it was a young actress who was on the sets. The moment I heard this news in the night, I was thinking, do these people never learn? Okay, it's an allegation. You can tell me it's an allegation. But remember, there's a third of what we have heard about the same person.
No, but I find this whole thing about, too much delay in filing the complaint to be absurd. That does not mean the crime never happened. Alleged crime never happened, right?
Yeah.
It does not nullify anything. Okay, next, SDPI Alliance Row. Pinarayi says LDF stands against communalism. The Kerala media have been hounding Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan about the party's supposed alliance with the SDPI in the Nemam seat. So, SDPI leaders came out and said that CPI leaders had approached them.
CPIM leaders.
CPIM leaders had approached them seeking support in the Nemam seat. But Pinarayi Vijayan then has come out and said that, the left will not side with communalists no matter what religion they are, what communal organization they are.
So there's a lot of SDPI dialogue in the Kerala media. SDPI's national president Faizi meanwhile said that we don't have a problem with the LDF as such. We think some of the things that the government has done is good. We'll announce our stand.
Pinarayi hits back at Rahul Gandhi over Sabrimala gold row, questions accuseds linked to Sonia Gandhi. Pinarayi Vijayan has demanded to know how the prime accused in the Sabrimala gold loss case, Unni Krishnan Potti, accompanied by some senior Congress leaders, was seen with Sonia Gandhi at her house in Delhi. So, Pinarayi Vijayan's reaction comes a day after Rahul Gandhi sang a line from a popular parody song about CPIM leaders' alleged roles in the gold theft at the Sabrimala temple. Moving on to Tamil Nadu, actor Vijay declares 622 crore in assets, 220 crore in real estate. So Vijay's assets include movable property worth around 404 crore, which includes deposits in bank accounts, luxury cars including 2 BMWs, a Toyota Lexus, Wellfire, and immovable property worth rupees 220 crore. His income for the last financial year, 24-25, was 184 crores.
Yeah, so all these rumors that we hear about actors being paid more than 100 crores, 150 crores for movie, it is almost true because Vijay does one movie a year and he's got like 184 crores as his income. Let's look at, other income also he must have from a rent or, some ad or, putting his name in something. I don't know all that. But he must be making like 100 crores easily from a movie. What is also interesting about the whole affidavit is that there's only property worth 5 crores in his wife Sangeeta's name. 220 crores in total for Vijay, of which only 5 crores in his estranged wife's name. Next.
Fridge versus coupon, how the DMK and ADMK are battling for the soul of Tamil Nadu's welfare politics. After AIADMK promised a free refrigerator for every rice ration card holder, the ruling DMK unveiled its own pitch. So it's not going to be just one appliance per household, but rupees 8,000 coupon for women,
non-income taxpayers
to buy what they need. So it could be anything from refrigerators and washing machines to TVs, mixies, microwaves or induction stoves. Although how 8,000 rupees covers any of this, I don't know.
I think you can get TV.
Mixies and TVs, yes.
Not washing machine, I think. Induction stove you can get. You can get a combination of things. So basically AIDMK is offering a refrigerator. DMK saying we'll instead give you money and you can buy what you want. Both are saying that this is part of the welfare measure because you are enabling women to function better in their houses. Yeah, that's the politics.
Moving on to Telangana, Adani Defence got undue benefit of rupees 35 crore under the BRS government, CAG Telangana report. The Controller and Auditor General of India has found that Adani Defence Systems and Technologies Limited was given undue benefit of rupees 34.6 crore in the form of discounted land prices by the Telangana government in 2018. So that was when the BRS, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti, was in power. So the CAG report was presented in the assembly on March 30th.
I just want to add something here. I don't know about Gen Z, but the older people who are watching this show may remember the times of the UPA government. I was a reporter back then. Almost every day, and I'm not even kidding, almost every day we used to have CAG reports, including 2G, where the entire reporting was on CAG reports saying this corruption, that corruption. Did you even hear about this in your news channel? Yeah, next.
Okay, our last headline for the day. Tech giant Oracle makes significant job cuts. So the full extent of the cuts, which will affect employees globally, could not be immediately learned. But right now, many reports suggest that it may be as high as anywhere between 20,000 and 30,000. And it may also affect around 12,000 Oracle employees in India. That's a really high number.
Yeah, so BBC is saying 10,000 employees. And the reason why they say 10,000 is somebody in Oracle told them that many people were removed overnight from the Slack teams. So that's how they put the number at 10,000. But I think other newspapers like the Mint, etc., are giving it a larger number. But what I wanted to say is that yesterday there was a suicide, I think, or day before yesterday, there was a suicide in Bengaluru. There's a techie from Telangana who apparently lost his job due to AI, is what the cop said. He died by suicide. His partner walked in, saw his dead body, and she too immediately died by suicide. So I think the impact is being seen. Okay, so that's it with the headlines. Thank you, Anisha. Now we'll go to the first discussion of the day. Joining us in the studio is Rachita Taneja. I don't know if people will know you as Rachita, right? I'll introduce her again. And joining me in the studio is Sanitary Panels.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's how people know Rachita, as Sanitary Panels.
Yeah, I'm going to change my legal name. First name Sanitary, second name
You've
Panels.
just published a book, Touching Grass.
Yeah.
You've brought the book.
Yeah.
So all her comics are there in that, people. I mean,
Nice.
some of the chosen ones.
Yeah.
So do buy the book. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to discuss something not so nice. But before that, tell me about the book.
Oh, yeah. So it's a book. It's basically a compilation of over 100 of my favorite comics from the past 12 or so years, interspersed with essays about how we can move past this feeling of doom and gloom towards hope, towards action. So yeah, that's a bit about the book. It just came out last month. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Okay, we'll go back to doom and gloom now.
No, let's go.
Doom and gloom.
Gloom
Sorry,
and
not
gloom.
Gloom and
Uh-huh.
gloom now. So the government has been censoring tweets, censoring cartoons, news articles quite a bit now.
Yeah.
And just as we were thinking that this is some phase where they're on to censoring randomly, arbitrarily, the government brings in the IT amendment rules. We have, of course, some time to object these rules, but I have no hopes that anything is going to happen, because even when the DPDP Act came and public were asked to give suggestions, we did have meetings with the ministry, but eventually whatever the government proposed was passed. Now, what is the new amendment which the government is trying to bring in? Let's say you're walking on the road, you see a pothole, and then you put out a video saying that, why is this damn pothole here? It was just last week that this road was repaired. Who is behind this corruption? Your video can be taken down by the government, because the new amendment gives the government the rights to block any social media post by anybody who's not a news publisher. Now, when the government brings these amendments...
Hold on. That
now,
means if you tweet from TNM ID, you won't be penalized.
No,
What
we are
happens if
already-
you tweet from your personal ID?
You already have to follow a set of rules.
we are already part of the rules. Now they've added... So news publishers are already part of it. I'm saying the
No, that is
amendment doesn't
fine.
impact.
That is fine.
Hmm.
But you're still an individual, private citizen also, right? So from your personal account, if you tweet,
They can take it down, because this says anybody who's not a news publisher, if they put out things. So there's a lot to unpack on how the government is trying to bring this amendment. Let's not forget that the digital media rules, certain parts of it have been stayed by different high courts in this country. But despite that stay being in place, the government is trying to bring this amendment, which again, I'm stressing, it does not already, the IT rules and the digital media rules impact news publishers. Now they're going to target everybody. The joke, of course, is that whenever the government tries to bring in a rule, law, amendment, whatever it is, they are trying to target a section of people, but eventually everybody becomes a victim, right? And this is something even BJP supporters have started realizing, because when the government brings in a law, the Sahyog portal, for example, the BJP people are finding that their tweets are disappearing because state governments, which are ruled by opposition parties, are taking down these tweets. Rachita, tell us what has been the experience of cartoonists, caricaturists, etc. in the last few months.
Yeah, so first off, I'll say that we still need to speak up about this. Like, we have till the 14th of April to voice our objections, our concerns. And while we might feel tempted to think that nothing can change, we still have to speak up about it. You know, we did this when the broadcasting bill was floated, and then they withdrew it eventually. So yeah, like you said, this rule will, like the IT amendments will affect individuals who engage in any kind of commentary with regard to politics or with regard to news. So like you said, for example, there's a pothole and you complain about a pothole, or you ask when is it going to be fixed, that can be taken down, your account can be shut down. What we've seen in the past couple of weeks is a much higher percentage of censorship on social media. I think in 2025, the amount of takedown requests that the government sent to Meta on their various platforms had tripled. So it was increased 3 times in 2025 alone. So what we're seeing is within these social media platforms are sent takedown requests, and they have 3 hours to comply with them. So they have 3 hours to take down the post or provide any reasoning as to why they wouldn't. And obviously these companies, all they care about is profit. So they will comply with the government, because if you have that limited amount of time, you're not going to go and check the laws. You're not going to go and check whether this post would not be taken down in any other circumstances. Like, you have to do everything very quickly. So they're very happily pressing the delete button on these posts. And the Ashwini Vaishnav said that we're only taking down deep fakes and we're targeting AI and these kinds of things, but that's not true at all. Most of the content that's taken down is satire poking fun at the BJP and Modi specifically. So we have comics taken down by fantastic cartoonists like Satish Acharya, Manjulji, Gaurav. Wire saw a couple of takedowns as well. Almost Bobby and Bob Almost. Their animations were taken down. We have Honey, who is funny, the comedian who had the very mega viral reel about Modi's foreign visits and meeting with foreign delegates. So these are the ones that are taken down. It's very obvious that there is a pattern of censorship that is happening, and this kind of censorship isn't new. Threats of violence, threats of legal action. So this is just one of the newer things that is added to their repertoire, to their toolkit on how to silence dissent. Because I feel like the government has already found ways to plug any kind of dissent in other media houses. They have they're basically, there has been a takeover of institutions that would otherwise protect the rights of citizens, and social media is the only thing I think they feel like they can't control. And so this is an attempt to exert some control over what is shared on social media. And under this, your content can be taken down, and they've seen that, if we take down this content, the person will share something again. So now accounts are being blocked as well. People who have hundreds of thousands of followers, their accounts are being taken down as well, just because they have a proclivity towards being critical of the government. So this is definitely...
So I just want to add one thing. I think as far as the intermediaries go, using the government's language, which is intermediaries, basically Google, Facebook, X, anybody which is the platform on which this content comes. I think it's not just about them feeling that why it's only for profits for us, right? There's a safe harbor clause also. The government can revoke the safe harbor clause.
Exactly.
And we have seen in courts that courts are not very kind to any of these social media giants, saying that you're anyway not operating out of India, you're not owned by companies, owned by people here. Therefore, why can't you follow the law of the land? So they don't want to take any risk. Like Facebook gets a notice, they just remove it. YouTube gets a notice, they just remove it.
Exactly, but that's because they want to continue working in India because
100%.
India has such a massive market. It is such a massive market for them.
It boils down to money. Yes.
Money at the end of the day, right? Like they are not going to take a stand and do what is just and what is right and, fight these things in court because at the end of the day, they do want to be in the good books of the government.
But X did go to court in the Sahyog
Ironically,
portal
yeah.
case. Yeah. Digipub, I'm the chairperson of Digipub, and X went to court. Karnataka High Court, of course, said that Sahyog portal is very good. We'll come to Sahyog portal. You want to add something?
No, I mean, see, I don't know what. See, this is definitely bad, okay? But let's not forget that this is coming in a long line of. Well, we had the UPA, slapping sedition charges on those two cartoonists for showing Parliament as a toilet, right? And then there was a huge public outcry at that point of time, and then they eventually dropped those charges. Today, there's no way to fight back. It feels against what the government is doing. I mean, they're just passing a law which, like, if you read the text of the law, it is so convoluted, so complicated, it makes no sense, right? Then you have to refer to 100 different, experts and all of that to figure out, that they have effectively said something what they're going to do, but they've made it so obscure that it's very hard to catch exactly what they're doing, and which is actually against the law, against, like, as you were saying earlier, those two High Court rulings, and there's a whole bunch of petitions before the Delhi High Court pending on the matter. So it's
one is my
very
petition.
complicated.
No, it's actually so for those who are thinking that what is the problem, didn't the government always block content? Yes, we did have blocking powers for the government through the IT Act, but there is a Shreya Singhal case there was a Shreya Singhal case in the Supreme Court, in which the Supreme Court clearly said the 69A of the IT Act can be used for blocking, but only with reasonable restrictions, which means if the government does not like my content, then I have to be sent a notice, I have to be given
Free speech, yeah, which is only 8 kinds of restrictions, 8 grounds.
Not only that, for any other ground also, you have to give me ample time to reply, which is, I think, 48 hours for my reply to come. But today what the government is using is the Section 79 of the IT Act, wherein, let's say she is Google and she has safe harbor in India only if she does not pull down something which is unlawful according to the government. So instead of sending, and Rachita has put a tweet which the government doesn't like. So instead of sending Rachita a notice saying, hey boss, explain to me why I should not take down the notice, the government is sending directly to Google and saying that if you do not take it down, then Section 79, we will take away the safe harbor clause on you. So this is the problem. So the government is basically using a combination of 69A and Section 79. I saw Caravan had a tweet
safe
taken
harbor,
down.
can you explain that once? Because, I mean, I don't think people understand that concept very well because...
No, basically, an intermediary comes under the safe harbor clause as long as they respond to government notices. If the government says something is unlawful and they do not take it down, then the government can revoke the safe harbor clause.
Which means that they're not liable for the content posted by Rachita on Google.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the problem here is that we are going to be, content like people who create political content, individuals, influencers, artists, etc. We are going to be treated as a publishing organization like the News Minute, as a publishing entity like the News Minute. And so we will have those same rules and restrictions on us. So that's where the problem lies. And I mean, they tried to push this kind of stuff through the broadcasting bill as well, the draft bill that was floated.
But Rachita, tell me, is there a lot of dialogue already online? I have not followed. During the broadcasting bill, I remember a lot of people doing reels, but is there that kind of education happening online now?
I am starting to see some because I think it was introduced, two days ago? Yeah, so I think it's building up momentum now. Internet Freedom Foundation is doing really good explainers. I would recommend folks watch that to understand what exactly is wrong with the bill. And content creators are speaking up about it. Influencers are talking about it. We have 14 days, so let's see how we go. But this is definitely just like a death knell to free speech and like being able to speak about politics on the internet.
Ironically, why they brought in this bypassing of 69A, they cited cybercrime cases where actually police genuinely have trouble.
But it's the
And that's
oldest
a
trick in the
whole-
book.
Exactly. Like that's a whole different ball game altogether, and they're now applying criminal acts of like say stealing money and wealth and whatever all that to free speech.
As if people are tweeting
know,
and taking
yeah.
other people's wealth. That they're doing by calls.
So
even
that's
now.
the thing, na? They'll say AI is happening, deep fakes are happening,
Yeah.
national
Pornography,
security,
yeah.
pornography, everything. No,
Yeah.
all of those
So you
regular
can't,
excuses
yeah, you
are
can't
used.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem also with the IT amendments is that it's going to be bureaucrats who can decide what content will be taken down. It's not going to be legislators. It's going to be bureaucrats. And so there is no oversight. Like what is seen as bad? What is a tweet that's in bad taste, or what is a comic that like there's no reason given. There's no way for us to appeal it as well. So yeah.
And on top of all this, there's a hate speech bill, which different states are bringing, like Karnataka and
right.
Telangana. And for anybody saying you're always against the BJP, we're against what the provisions of the hate speech bill also, many of its provisions, which again give powers to not just bureaucrats, but to cops. Any law where you give cops power to take down, I'm like, zzz,
Yeah, because you give them a hammer and everything looks like a nail after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to just remind our audiences that the Sahyog portal, we have a story which Aditi Agarwal had done, I think last year. She had tracked down how Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Bihar and West Bengal, all these 4 states, the police used the Sahyog portal to take down many, many tweets. So, for example, in Tamil Nadu, tweets which were critical of Udayanidhi Stalin, for example, or of the Greater Chennai Police, which were put forward by AIDMK leaders or BJP leaders like Annamalai, they were all taken down using Sahyog portal. So, I want to ask AIDMK, BJP, or all these people who are supporting this kind of amendment that you are also now at the receiving end of it. In those states where you're not in power. So you are handing over any kind of censorship tool which will be used on you itself. I don't understand.
No, but I think it's perfectly understandable because they are all like that as a by nature, right? They all want sedition. I mean, like we are sitting and the Congress is looking better these days because BJP is so bad. But they did the same stuff, right? They came up with all of this in the first place, right? So all of these parties do want to penalize anybody who is going to criticize them. And that is something which is going to be a default setting for anybody in power, no?
But do you have like this cartoonist association, something where you guys are thinking what to do?
No, I mean, like in the broadcasting bill, we all just kind of organically came together and started talking about it and cross-posting each other's stuff. And eventually, like, there was a movement, but it was all organic. So IFF, I think, was also one of the leaders in coordinating those efforts.
But that's like they're saying the stray sand effect, right? That reel which we're talking about where Modi ji meets... and I ho 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 ho. He will do like that.
Such a good reel.
Yeah, but now everybody is making that. So there is a flip side of removing content like this.
There is, but then like there is also so much damage that it does in terms of sending out a message saying that if you are to toe the line, if you cross this line that we have set, arbitrary line that we have set, if you criticize us beyond this point, then we will come after you. We'll take down your content. Like I'm seeing so many people actually worried about that comedian who was in the reel, because of how viral that video went.
This one.
No, but I have a question. I mean, okay, takedown request happens, platforms take it off, and then what happens to the person who's posted the uncomfortable thing?
Nothing. You can just go to court if you want and pursue. For example, Caravan.
No, but there's no criminal provision built into it saying you're going to be like
Anisha,
whatever.
don't give ideas now.
But no, they'll come up with it even if I don't. I mean, I'm sorry. Like this is ingenious stuff. The way they've
like
written this law,
69A,
right?
when the government got blocking orders, imagine the powers for the government for blocking is for content which is against national security, which threatens India's integrity and all that. How is making fun of Modi ji's illegal? Or how is it against integrity or national security, etc.?
That's the thing. No, it's such an
Donald
arbitrary
Trump
thing.
and Netanyahu might
It's
post
such an
it.
arbitrary thing. I can say this thing is it's like offending my religious sentiments, then you have to take it down. Or this is threatening national security, take it down. This thing is a deep fake, take it down. So it's just very arbitrary. You can justify taking down any kind of content, but obviously it is skewed towards a certain criticism of a certain political party. At least, the ones that are...
But you know what is striking about all of this is 5 years down the line, like hopefully this law will not last that long, but all the stated claims, right? We're going to crack down on cybercrime, deepfake and all of that. None of that stuff is actually going to come down. to add one more to the list, ECI and this whole entire thing about SIR and foreigners. So the stated claim is we are going to identify and throw out foreigners. But where are these foreigners?
No,
You know,
talking about ACI, there was a story from Kerala that there was an ECI document emailed to various political parties which had the seal of the BJP, the stamp of the BJP. Now, the Election Commission's explanation was that it was a 2019 document. The BJP had sent it back asking for clarification and they had put their stamp on it. By mistake, that document was sent out. Now, even if we buy that argument, they took down so many tweets, so many posts, including that of V.D. Satishan, the leader of the opposition in Kerala. So this is an institution like the Election Commission of India is now using these laws to take down anything. Today they are saying, okay, it's fake news we're taking down. Tomorrow they'll say, we don't like this story that you put out of Gyanesh Kumar. Day after they'll say something else, right? There's no end to this.
So that's the thing, right? It's like they are seeing this kind of dissent on all of these different mediums. So it's like how, let's make a list of all of the ways that we can be dissented against and let's plug all of them. Let's take over mainstream media institutions, like that is done. So what's next? Let's take over, government institutions that, or like in public interest institutions like the NGT or whatever. So it's like at the end of the day, they're trying to plug every kind of leak there is so that they can fully control the narrative around them.
This is like that kid's story, that emperor has new clothes.
No
And
clothes.
that little boy says
No
that,
clothes.
No. So the story is called Emperor's New Clothes. And then the tailor fools the king and nobody's allowed to say that the emperor is actually naked. And then that little boy shouts and suddenly, all hell breaks loose, right? So like we are in a less funny version of reality of that, I suppose.
So when you draw cartoons now, are you thinking, will this get taken down? Should I not do it?
No.
Do you know why?
No, I'm not. I'm not thinking.
I know when she sends her cartoons because we publish some of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I going to jail for this cartoon? But we still do go ahead and publish. Yeah.
No, but are you hearing from other, colleagues or, people you work with? Is this having a chilling effect on them? Are they starting to rethink what they're going to say and not say?
See, taking posts down is something, it doesn't give that much fear.
Yeah, but
taking
entire
accounts
are
down,
now,
that is the scary part because you have spent so much time building up an audience, building up a base of support. And if you don't have access to that base of support, then you have to figure out what else to do with your life.
So you think that the fear of an account being taken down will have a chilling effect?
No, but actually, like, I was just thinking that if you say that, somebody's going to block me on social media, I'll go back into the physical world. But the physical world has already been made very, very unsafe by brute force.
Exactly.
That's
what I'm saying. They're plugging all of the leaks, right? You like, if you can only protest in Delhi at Jantar Mantar.
Freedom Park in Bengaluru.
Freedom Park
or
in
you can get
Bengaluru.
assaulted at a venue, if you have a performance planned.
Exactly. So it's like offline they have covered. It's done. Other institutions that are meant to protect our rights as citizens, those are kind of
That's actually
compromised.
such an important point, right? That
social media was the last remaining space.
Online dissent. Okay, so enough of doom and gloom. Tell me about the book. And for those who haven't seen Sanitary Panels, please go do. She is also a feminist cartoonist. You may find her very, very irritating, which is exactly why you should check her out. Why are your cartoons 2 sticks all the time? 2, 3, 4 sticks. Stick people.
Yeah, why do cartoonists do that?
No, hers is all stick people.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but like a lot of people use that kind of a format in different ways, right?
It's so easy to draw. But when I started off, it actually, funnily enough, my first comic was on 66A, the Shreya Singhal case. That was 66A, no? The one that was struck.
66A was struck down.
66A was struck, 69A was upheld,
In
right?
2014 is when I made my first comic about 66A. And back then I didn't know how to draw. And so I made stick figures. But then people started calling me a webcomic artist. And I was like, oh shit, they're calling me an artist, so I should learn how to draw maybe. I did learn how to draw, but then this stick figure style became like my signature. So I stick with it.
But there's a small danger because the stick figure has a face which is very recognizable, right? Like Modi, Modi, Adani, Adani, Amit Shah, Amit Shah, you can actually make out in your cartoons.
So that's the whole point of it, no?
No, like
Like
there's no
caricature also.
camouflaging.
The
Yeah,
person's living or dead is purely
Yeah,
coincidental.
like in China and all, they do that, right? They have these code words and like stuff to bypass censorship keywords and things like that. I mean, I'm wondering if you're going to head down that road
But all
now.
cartoonists do this, no? They all have like their signature style of how they portray a politician or a public figure. So I think mine is also like it's irritating how fast I can draw our dear leader.
Wow.
It takes me 10
Our dear
seconds to
leader,
draw him at
yes.
this point.
It takes you 10 seconds to draw it.
That's it. Draw him specifically.
Wow. Tell me, what do you get abused for the most? Is it for political cartoons or is it for feminist cartoons?
More recently, it's been about the, that show on, I don't know if it's on Hotstar or it's on Prime or on marital rape. So there's a new show that
Something
discusses.
C.
Yeah.
Chaibra.
Something like that.
Chayara, yeah, that I saw. Yeah, I saw that.
A lot of people are like angry about marital rape as being criminal. Like a lot of men are basically angry on the internet saying, how can rape within marriage be actually, it's not rape if it's in marriage. Because
Chiraiya.
that one. So right now I'm getting trolled for my comic that is explaining that rape is still rape whether you're married or not. So right now I have pissed off the MRAs.
For those unaware, that's not some job. It's men's rights activist, MRAs. Sounds like CEOs.
I think they think of themselves like that.
Yeah. So
Proud.
you do get trolled more for that.
Yeah.
How bad trolling are we talking about?
It's pretty bad. It's like losing faith in humanity level trolling when you talk about something like marital rape. It's like there are some very specific issue areas if you speak about them.
Yeah, because then it'll be like, no, in their heads, they are good people. Right?
No, but the comment
Yeah.
will be, this is not marital rape. If you talk more, I'll rape you.
Yeah, that also.
Yeah.
So there are both kinds of people. They're like, okay, then what's the point of marriage? It's like, okay, so your point of marriage is to be able to rape your wife? Question mark. And so that is like one of the more disheartening comment section under my comics, when I speak about marital rape. But otherwise, politics, generally there is a lot of liberandu, all of that stuff that you also probably know, Dhanya.
But there is also a lot of appreciation, right? I mean, if you focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah, fully. There is that's the thing that I always say, that for every like bad, mean, rude, trolling comment, there are 10 comments of appreciation. So I have to like remind myself to touch grass and remember that the online world is not reflective of how people are in the offline world. Because I think I mean, personally, I get very overwhelmed by how much divisive and polarizing opinions exist on the internet. And then I go offline and I talk to people regularly at a bar or at a party or whatever, or even in like a community
You do
meeting.
meet people offline?
What does that mean?
I'm just asking, like, those are things which people are not doing now, right?
Is that targeted towards me specifically? We should go get a drink after this, Dhanya. But yeah, it reminds me that, like my brain is so online focused that it is a very different experience to go and actually touch grass and spend time with your friends or community members, like at a protest or whatever. Like there are a lot of more hopeful and inspiring spaces that exist outside the internet.
What is the nicest thing somebody said to you?
My favorite compliment.
Yeah.
It was when someone said they were not sure about their politics until they found my comics.
Nice.
Which
That's
was-
high praise.
I'm still riding that high from like 3 years ago when that person said it to me. There will be some people who are always commenting and saying good job on every post that you make. It's like I'm doing it for that person. He is always going to be there under my posts with, a comment that is going to more or less be the same every time, showing his appreciation.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
thank you.
Thank you to everyone who appreciates Rachita, who appreciates our work or anybody's work. That really matters. When you see two people abusing, just go say good work, and that really matters to that person. So thank you, Rachita. No cartoons taken down yet.
Knock on wood.
Touch grass.
Touch wood, touch
You
grass.
touch grass, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us at
Thank
South
you for
Central.
having me.
So we have to discuss the Kerala elections because the state is going to polls very, very soon and the campaigns have heated up. So normally we get journalists to discuss Kerala elections and what the trends are. But this time I thought, why not do something different? So we have joining us Sridhar Radhakrishnan, environmentalist, but an engineer by training. I think the second time on South Central, right, Sridhar? Welcome to South Central.
Yes, I'm the second time.
And joining him is Akina Mohan. Akina is joining us from Kannur. She's an activist. She works for Alamo, which looks after climate education. Akina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, in the morning, I had another guest. Her name was Anina, but she couldn't turn up. So I was thinking in my mind what all jokes I can crack because it's Anisha, Anina, and Akina. But an Anina dropped out. Yeah. Okay. And the third guest on the show is Gautam Lakshman Arun. Gautam is a co-founder of Ignite, a youth platform. Gautam, welcome.
Thank you, and glad to have sabotaged your joke.
And you know what? When I called him first, I very shamelessly asked him, how old are you? Because young politicians, youth, right? So I thought maybe he's also like that. Like Stalin was called young politician 5 years ago. Rahul Gandhi is still a young politician.
Yeah, my God.
So he revealed his age and he's indeed a young person who is in charge of a youth platform. Okay, Sridhar, I know that there is a green manifesto which was published by environmentalists in Kerala. How are you looking at how the election is panning out, the promises being made? I heard VD Sadishan today telling Mathrubhumi that they're going to have coastal shipping and cruise shipping. And they have made up an entire plan as to how people can have more cruise. And they will interlink rivers and have cruise shipping. So are you listening to all these things that politicians are saying? What are your thoughts?
My first thoughts is that in the last 10, 15 years, there has been such a push on development. And I must say in the last 10 years, it's just not been development. I would say that there was the development took a very fanatic form. And I'm being very harsh at that because it was, when you have development and you're talking about development for the common people, for normal people, for the poor, for fishermen community and forest community and all that, and for farmers, and you have to engage with them. It's a process of talking to them. It's a process of participatory development. In Kerala, basically, we have a very strong participatory development process, and the governance itself is at that level. But unfortunately, in the last 10 years, retaining all those participatory systems, local self-governments, etc., the centralized, humongous, huge, linear, infrastructure development took mainstream. And whenever there were concerns around it, and there were huge amount of concerns on it, starting from protests in Kriyatur, where they were trying to fill up a paddy land and build a bypass of the national highway. And then we saw how national highway was collapsing in many places where they had built it on paddy lands. And then there was a Silver Line project, which was supposed to be a massive, one of the largest projects that Kerala has ever done, costing, in their own estimates, about 65 lakh crore. But, realistically, it'll be about 1.25 lakh crore. That kind of a project. And some of us were looking at the detailed project report, which itself got leaked, which the government refused to put out. Transparency was literally zero. And when we started looking at it, we found that it will probably be one of the most ecologically and economically disastrous projects that Kerala has ever seen. And I'm not talking from a point of just an environmentalist. I'm also talking from a point of a technologist. Now, how does the political scenario fare in Kerala? I must say that most of the parties, or almost no party, is actually seriously talking environment in the elections. It's a noisy, visually polluting election that we are having at this point of time, is what I would say. Now, in this, interestingly, the environmental groups we got together in January end in Wayanad, and after 3 days of deliberation on lots of issues, where multiple sectors, we thought, okay, let's come up with a manifesto. And then once the drafting of the manifesto was done, it actually turned itself, or the manifesto turned into not just a manifesto, but a charter. It became an environmental charter, a people's environmental charter on environment. For Kerala. And we called it the manifesto. For the first time, it was a manifesto for everybody. It's not just for the politicians. So it's not like elections are over and then the new government comes and then the manifesto gets forgotten because some of the points were adopted or not adopted it, and that's what they'll do. This governance document is not that. It's literally a manifesto for ecological and climate governance in a state like Kerala, in a very fragile, vulnerable state like Kerala. And we have taken a very pragmatic approach. We're not taken an approach where we are also looking like fanatics. We're not doing that. We are looking at each sector. We've analyzed it threadbare with the people in that sector, and then we have come out with action points. While we did this manifesto, there was a lot of other people, again, civil society activists, who came together and looked at all the other issues as well, the gender issues, the land issues, etc. And they brought out a people's manifesto. The tribal community people also brought out an Adivasi development manifesto. And the women's collectives have brought out a manifesto which they call the ZETO, which is zero tolerance against sexual violence. Interestingly, this is a time when 4 different public, in Malayalam we say Janakiya, people's manifestos have come up, and we still don't have one manifesto from the political parties. It's democracy on the ground, but we are waiting for democracy on the other side.
So we're recording this on April 1st. And till today, LDF, UDF, or CPIM, Congress have not put out their manifesto. Surprisingly, the BJP has put out their manifesto in Kerala, maybe because it's easy for them, don't have to give too much thought. Anyway, going to win only less than 5 seats if they're really lucky. The other 2 apparently will release by the 2nd of April. So before this show goes on air on Friday, hopefully the manifestos are out. You want to ask something to Akina?
Yeah, actually, see, we've Mr. Sridhar was talking about how, Kerala is an environmentally sensitive place, and we all know that to be true, right? So why is it that environment, it's a matter of people's everyday life, right? If it wasn't clear enough, then the Wayanad landslide should at least have been a wake-up call. Why is it that environment is not such a why is it environment is not an issue for political parties? It's not like you can live in space, right? On some spaceship or something.
Do you believe that political parties don't take the environment seriously?
Of course I do. Because I've seen the other developments so far happening. It's like development is happening, but at what cost? It's a big question. Be it anything happening now. I have a background in environmental science and studied about this EIA and all. But when it's happening in the reality, is it really happening or is it really validated? That's a big question. Irrespective of the government, be it LDF or UDF, I felt like they never take this environmental part seriously. And I'm unfortunately saying, even though we are very literate, I think we lack some common sense about how important it's to take care of the environment. Without that, it's like we are taking all the services from the environment for free of cost mostly. And it's our responsibility to give it back, at least to conserve it. And we are electing these leaders to do the responsibilities, and we are expecting that.
Gautam, just to move away from the environment, I'll come to you. How do you look at the whole campaign which is going on? And the youth of Kerala is also a huge conversation this election. Both the BJP and the Congress are saying that there are not enough jobs in Kerala. Of course, graduate unemployment is a problem across India, but that has become a major focus even in Kerala, right? But are young people really talking about all this? Is that their concern when they go to vote?
It truly is. And the way I get to this is because if you look at Kerala, I think the crowd of Kerala has very little information asymmetry when you compare to the other states, right? In the sense that we are not just literate, we also have a high level of civic literacy. We also have a high level of political literacy. Because let's say I studied in this campus called the College of Engineering Trivandrum, which is touted to be one of the most prestigious engineering colleges in Kerala, right? So even when a very, academically sound crowd comes to such a college, right? Even their political ideology and politics forms a key part of the campus life. In fact, I think I'd go to the extent to say that politics is better than the academic life that we have at CET. So I think why does it come to that, right? It comes to that because the crowd cares about policies, the crowd cares about ideologies, right? The crowd also cares about what's happening around them because the students have been exposed to politics from a very young age. Now, when it comes to the actual issues that are a topic of discussion among the youth, right? Even if you look at the placement statistics of the college, what you see is that there are very, very, very few jobs based out of, let's say, Trivandrum or Kochi that come to hire from CET. The vast majority of jobs that vast majority of companies that hire from CET are based out of, let's say, Bangalore or, outside of Kerala. So I think there is a question as to why a student who is academically sound enough to land a college like CET or, let's say, probably the NIT Calicut, right? Why do they then have to leave the state of Kerala and go to, let's say, Bangalore or Gurgaon to pursue a job? Don't you think that it's a little, questionable, considering the fact that especially a state that has a high standard of literacy, I think the youth, we do expect companies to be based out of the state, and not just companies to be based out of the states. The companies that are, giving out jobs, we expect a minimum level of salary from those companies, which is lacking in the current scenario, right? I think that is one of the key talking points in terms of the youth.
But do they look at solutions then? For example, this party has been in power for 10 years, the LDF. I mean, even if you don't want to get into party politics, do they look at then which is the party which can give them that solution of farming, of creating jobs? Because I feel like the promises of everybody sounds almost the same.
So I think two things at stake here, right? Number one, when you talk about jobs, I think jobs are a non-negotiable, right? So I think migration is already happening, and the young population would definitely like to see that they don't have to go out and that all of these menial workers have to come in, right? They want a situation where they can earn a respectable salary while being in their hometown. Because let me put it frankly, nobody wants to move out of Kerala. It's not like what you think. Like, Kerala is such a beautiful state, right? We have all the greenery here. And even when you talk about environmentalism, I think Kerala, I'll just put that on record, Kerala is doing so much better than any other state in the country, especially if you go to, regions like Delhi. You feel the kind of pollution there, you feel the heat, you feel the lack of greenery. So I think even my friends who are based out of Gurgaon, even what they tell me is, when the flight lands in Trivandrum airport, right, you feel that you are in Kerala. You see the greenery around you. So then you've then established the fact that Kerala is a place where you want to be. Then the question becomes, why are you forced to go out of the state? That is simply because there aren't any jobs, right? So I think for the young population, then again, circling back to the main agenda here, the topic is always going to be jobs and jobs alone.
But do you all look for solutions from these political parties? Then I'll go to Sridhar. Sridhar, because you are the oldest person in this panel, you'll be talking the least also. I will just warn you now itself. But Gautam, tell me that.
Solutions, right? So, for example, I think the only real proposition that the BJP or the NDA is pitching in Kerala is jobs. Why? Because they very well know for a fact that the tactics they use in any other state won't work in Kerala. Kerala is not a population that can be polarized by religion, right? So you can see that in the likes of how, the BJP campaigned during the Trivandrum corporation elections as well, right? The way they're positioning their image now is as champions of, let's say, development, right? In the sense that they're going to bring in more jobs in Kerala. They're going to make Kerala great again, right? I think that's the kind of proposition that the BJP is getting at. But even then, it's so hard for them to crack because they have this sort of a communal image within the youth of Kerala, right? And as long as they don't break that image, I'm sorry to say they are not making any inroads into the state of Kerala. Because I think even when you care about jobs, right, the ideology that you carry forward with you is a non-negotiable, right? The people of Kerala are not ready to give up on the basic social fabric that they are holding on to in Kerala society to then go and hunt for jobs. That is the only reason why the BJP is trying to make inroads and is not successful here. When you compare the existing two parties, let's say the UDF or the LDF, right? I think then the young population kind of compares between the LDF and the UDF. So if you look at the LDF government, what do you see? Hey, there is some sort of a significant development that has happened. But then again, there are a lot of issues with that in the sense that, hey, they don't like the sort of authoritarian image that the stalwarts of LDF, have right now in the state. And that is one reason that drives, the necessity for change. But then they look at the other option. So when you look at the UDF, right, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Hey, if let's say the UDF comes into power, any policy that they're going to bring in is going to be debated by the LDF. The LDF is probably, the communist parties are probably going to go on strikes. So much so that these developments do not end up happening in the first place. That is the dilemma that the young people have in their minds. And that is what is going to, be the choice when they go for the elections.
Wow. That's very complicated thought. If we vote for LDF, they will do something. If we vote for the UDF, they will do something, but the LDF will stop it. So we may as well as vote for the LDF. Akina, what are your thoughts on this whole job situation? Then I'll go to Sridhar about communalism.
I think with the job part, I would like to add about the entrepreneurship. I think nowadays youth are not really looking forward to work under some firm or something. People are more into starting their own. And they really look for the support. So Gautam was talking about this migration part, and one reason is the quality of life also. When we start an entrepreneurship and do in Kerala, the perspective, the support we are getting is different, and if we are going out and doing the same, the acceptance we are getting is completely different. And I got this point from one of my friends very recently, why they are looking for migrating to other countries or other states. So I think we really look for support from the government. I mean, we do have a startup mission and all, but how much of support we are getting? The people who are really coming to this sector are big in numbers, and the supports are getting is really less. The ratio is really less. So that is something we need to get addressed.
There was a research, I think 2 years ago in the US. In 2024, they had talked to some 1,000 Gen Z people, and apparently 57% of those people wanted to be content creators. So nobody's looking for jobs. They all want to be content creators in America. Sridhar, one or two things I want to bring in from what Gautam said, right? One is this assertion that Kerala will not go the BJP way. Kerala is not a state that can be communalized. I am sorry, my friend, that is not true. You are seeing, look at your social media itself. B. Gopalakrishnan saying in Guruvayur, there is no Hindu MLA. You can see hundreds of Malayalis coming and writing comments supporting B. Gopalakrishnan just in the social media space, I'm saying. Now look at absolute numbers. In 2024, the BJP did its best in Kerala. NDA got 19% of vote share. That is not small. They have really grown in Kerala. Yes, they did not do well after that in 2000. What about some of the local bodies? They did well in a few. But Sridhar, is there this one thought that we are invincible, that this communalism will not come for us? We are too great educated for that.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Does that make politicians in Kerala complacent?
Yeah. See, I think to answer your question straight away, I would, I largely agree with what Gautam said. But then I would also say that it's wonderful to hear from somebody like Gautam that, the youth have this concern. I mean, they're also not just thinking about the big show and the big PR that the BJP is doing across the country and then bringing up to it. I mean, just today I put out a tweet on, there are BJP. I mean, I think even I do not know whether the Prime Minister himself came and said, but he has said it before, or Yogi Adityanath has come and said it before, that Kerala, I mean, UP is better than Kerala, or Kerala is not as good as UP, Uttar Pradesh. And so I put out 13 points, which are indicators which showed how Kerala is much better than UP. Yes, 13 indicators. And I said, so it's a big lie. The problem is this, that while the claims that, the BJP comes out with, or the NDA comes out with, a lot of people fall for it. And then there's a whole communal angle where a lot of people fall for it. I would personally think two things. One, in this election also, they would probably increase their vote share from whatever to by about 3 to 5%. That much, which is big. They would probably increase. I feel that they would increase the vote share across all constituencies in whatever small percentage. But I also strongly feel that a large young population, if they are thinking in the way that, Gautam is thinking or Gautam is saying, then there's a lot of hope that they would push back at some point. Because one of the things is very clear. The entrenched, very, fanatic way in which the BJP is pushing society itself largely across the country is something that Kerala will not be able to accept that easily. Because we are in that sense liberalized. Our young people are wanting to go out and, so they're not looking at getting back home and living a quote unquote very religious lives. They've already moved out of that kind of a religious life. They're okay with religion and they're okay with some sense of spirituality, but they are much more pragmatic and much more material and much more practical in some of the things that they do. That is the kind of exposure that Kerala's young people have had. And so I see hope from the next elections probably, but not this elections. This elections, I'll still see 3 to 5% of the old characters voting, for BJP. Many of our family members and all that, that will happen.
No, actually, that's true. So, Gautam, the comments that I was talking about on social media, they're also from middle-aged or older people. So, maybe younger generation. And I think this UP is better than Kerala. You must also have seen a News Minute package yesterday. We had put out a story from Palakkad after Narendra Modi's rally, where a guy said that, "Njan UP il poittilla. I have not been to UP. Pakshe avada ivada idinekkalu nalladanu njan kettittundu. Like, it is much better there."
In my post, I used your poster.
Yeah. Gautam, to come back to you now, tell me what else are the main talking points? What do you think the younger population is going to vote for or against? Like, what are their thoughts going to be when they go to the polls?
Okay. So just before we go into that, I think I just have to make a comeback on the social media comments part, right? So I think this is a common talk amongst the youth, right? You look at a video and you ignore the comment section, right? Because right now, we believe that the social media cells of parties have infiltrated the comment sections so much so that it's very hard to spot organic comments, right? I think this is what we tend to believe. We don't know if it's true or not, but I think that's the general perception. And there is a reason why it's important, because I think in a lot of states, right, the comment sections or the kind of narrative that they try to build along with the kind of posts that they do kind of influence sentiments in one way or the other, especially of the Gen Z, because they don't just look at the post, they go and then look at the comments, right? But I think to all the people that I have talked to, right, everybody kind of tends to ignore the comment section, especially if it's, the YouTube comment section of a news channel. Because they're almost 100% sure that, hey, these are all like social media cells or bots or whatsoever. So then who is really getting enticed by these comments, right? Then again, it goes back to the people who believe in the sort of WhatsApp university messages that circulate, right? That then again boils back to the older crowd. So I think, like you rightly pointed out, it's, if they're going to increase their vote share, that's primarily most likely through the older population. And that's a problem. I'm not.
So when they all die out, that vote percentage will come down.
No, I mean from the I think like you rightly pointed out, I've never mentioned that we are immune to that sort of a communal sentiment. We are not, and primarily because the average age of an average Keralite is going on increasing, right? Because of all of this immigration and all of that, which means that the people who are most likely going to vote are getting older day by day. So I think that is going to definitely make inroads in the older population, probably, but maybe not in the younger population. Now, with that out of the way, if you talk about other issues that we talk about, right? I think Sridhar sir rightly pointed out the K-rail development that happened. I think the youth are aware of the fact that, hey, there is like a lot of environmental factors associated with the current alignment of Silver Line. But I think everybody is in terms with the fact that we need some sort of a high-speed rail transit between Trivandrum and Kasaragod. For example, I'll give you an anecdote. Let's say I am conducting some sort of an event in Kozhikode, right? Then from Kerala, from Trivandrum to go to Kozhikode and then come back, the journey time will itself take 2 nights, right? To go to Kozhikode and then to come back from there. So then when I get an event from Kozhikode, I'll think twice or thrice about it. Hey, should I really accept the event? Is the kind of pay that we're gonna get, will this justify the kind of travel time that there is? Point number 1. Point number 2, this Calicut, then again, I can understand. But the same thought applies to Kochi, right? Because if you take a look at trains from Cochin to Trivandrum, there's not really a lot of options after 7:20. I think the Vande Bharat starts at 7:20 from Cochin. After that, I don't really think there are any feasible train options from Cochin to Trivandrum. And of course, you cannot take a bus because you know the kind of construction work that's going on. So I think infrastructure projects as a whole, like high-speed rail, right? Like, let's say, the coastal shipping that was pointed out, all of these are things that the young people look forward to. Why? Because number 1, it makes life a whole lot easier for them. There are a lot of students who come and study in CET from Kasaragod, right? So for them to go back, if they have that sort of a accessibility, they would want that, right? Number 2, there are a lot of other districts that are not connected. Before that, yes, coming to you. I thought.
Yeah, I just want to just bring in Akina. We'll come back to you also, Gautam. Gautam is making a point that young people are also looking at infrastructure projects, Akina. But as someone who works for climate change, and you were saying in the beginning that we should be more cognizant of what is happening around us, do you sometimes think that, oh no, people should be more aware of the damages that some of these things can do?
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, I do agree, like, we do need a so-called developments and everything. But I think when if talking about the Gen Z kids also, I don't think they really understand, like, how much damages it creates. Like, we are, like, looking for the instant results. And what if gonna make the longer term results also, we are not really understanding. Be it any developments. I mean, be it any, not in point of developments also, be it any actions that we are creating, people are looking for the instant results, like how Gautam was mentioning about the comfort. People are looking for the more comfortable lifestyle. Agree, but to get that comfort zones or comfort lifestyles, what we are losing, maybe very very nearby or maybe in future, is it's like something that is irreversible, that need to be addressed.
Okay, so Gautam, we have covered jobs, infrastructure. What else?
We've covered jobs and infrastructure, but then again, I think on the comment that, a lot of these are irreversible and that there are long-term, I think Akina also mentioned when she talked about startup and entrepreneurship, right? The real reason why I think infrastructure has a very high contribution to the real reason why the startup ecosystem is not booming enough in Kerala. If you look at other states, right? Bangalore, right? Karnataka has Bangalore and very few startup hubs that are probably closer to each other, interconnected and whatnot. Same is the thing with Delhi NCR, like all of the hubs are connected to each other. But when you look at Kerala, right, I think if you, I had this, night satellite image of the country of India, and I think Kerala is one of the longest illuminated, highly densely illuminated stretches. I think the number 1 reason is because the population density in every district is so high. right? So if every district in Kerala is interconnected, I think I'm going to go ahead and make a bold claim that is going to solve almost, let's say, 50 to 60% of the roadblocks in terms of the entrepreneurship process, right? Because that you're not only just connecting consumers, you're also making way for production to be transported, logistics, and a lot of other things. Second of all, I think policies of the government is of utmost importance, right? Because I think the way privilege section looks at the policies of the government is, hey, look at the government, they're giving out a lot of freebies where we're missing out on a lot of essential development. Now, the underprivileged section, then again, are very happy and enthused by the sense of freebies that they're receiving from the government. But we need to understand that there should be a perfect balance between state support and the kind of money that they funnel into other infrastructure development. I believe that it's a very good model that Kerala is following, in the sense that they're looking at social indicators and then they're pumping in money into giving out pensions and all of that. But I believe in the likes of that, the government is also ignoring a lot of infrastructural questions and other questions to be tackled.
I just want to say that here at the News Minute, I'm just saying that we don't easily use the word freebie, because, a lot of this is welfare measure. For example, giving women free tickets to travel in buses, or giving them a cash transfer, whether it's given by the BJP, the Congress, or the DMK, whatever party it is, it does help to elevate their lives in one way. So the task before a government is obviously to somehow look at how do you balance a welfare measure. Some of them can be a bit ridiculous, but some of them are needed. For example, when television was given in Tamil Nadu, everybody really laughed at it, but there was research later showing that it did give women some time for recreation, etc. When
Cycles for girls.
Grinders and mixies, which really bring down your time in the kitchen. So there is a purpose for some of these welfare measures. That aside, my final question to you is, if you put on a Malayalam channel, a lot of the coverage, job, infrastructure, discuss what are they discussing? Christians are voting for who? Eravas are voting for who? Where is the STBI going? Who is the Jamaat-e-Islami going to? What are your thoughts, Gautam? Do you guys look at, I don't know, is there community voting even among young people? Do you guys talk like that? I'll come to Akina with the same question after that.
I think the only real time when young people switch on the TV is to check if there's a holiday because of rain today, right? Otherwise, I think most news consumption is through probably YouTube channels of the same media, maybe online. But my point being, the only reason why news channels probably focus on that is because the audience that they're trying to cater to is the older crowd, right? I think that's the simplest answer to that. If you take a look at the real concerns of the youth, I do understand that, and I'm not saying that this is universal, right? There'll be a lot of young people who do care about all of those stuff. But then recently, if you take a look at the vast majority, right? I think they have larger issues to look at. Now, second of all, on your comment of freebies, then again, I think I was largely clear that I was trying to present a view of the privileged as well as the underprivileged. I think one man's freebie is another man's empowerment. I think I really resonate with that statement. But even then, you need to look at the kind of delta that each welfare scheme can bring in, right?
I will add on that secularism. So today only I was in the town and there was a political party campaigning happening. Most of it was, and when 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and everything was talking about the religious aspects, and I was really confused. When it recently started, too much, all the election campaigns are being talking about this the religious aspects, and I don't know why this is happening. Because for me, I believe this election, everything happens because we need certain structure to roll out the state, and we are selecting someone who we hope will be capable of doing that. And I personally never want any religion to have influence on that. We need to take select people who will be capable. I'm not mentioning any political party, just capable leaders. And strongly, I also believe people who are capable by health, by education, by common sense, civic sense, everything. Not like all my family was in the political sectors. I mean, maybe the people from the political families also there are capable leaders from the families also. It's totally agreed. But it should be like the leader should be biased by any religion or anything. I mean, I strongly disagree with that. But there's also one point, like when this so much campaigning happening, there is a lot possible, like at least few person will be very much influenced through this. Like when we are listening to this through the news channels, through the campaigns, I think there might be a biased thought. There is a possibility to come into certain people's mind, irrespective of the age group also.
See, in principle, I'm okay. I'm like, okay, theek hai. I mean, I don't have a judgment on whether or not freebies or welfare measures or whatever is good or bad. But I see it in the sense that it is an unstated admission that no political party is ever going to fix the economy in a way that will allow people to meaningfully earn money for their lives. So in that sense, yeah, I'm all for the
No, there are
freebies.
some
Yeah.
economists who do oppose, saying that it's basically quick time fixes.
Exactly.
But if you, like Finance Minister of Tamil Nadu, PTR will say that we have to keep doing this, only then the fixes will come after a few decades. So there are two streams of
Yeah,
thought.
that's going to be some 5 generations
Yeah.
down the line.
That is what is affirmative action, unfortunately. Sridhar, last words to you. You heard 2 young voters of Kerala pouring their hearts out. What are your final thoughts about elections?
Yeah. No, just to say something about, I mean, before I come to the election part, see, it's great to have I would love to have a Kerala with infrastructure which looks really decent and which takes us places and we move fast and we like it. And, I mean, when you travel all over the world, we see that kind of infrastructure and we think, yeah, this is what we should probably have. And in all sense, it's also possible that we can have that. But we cannot have that with the kind of entrenched, completely distorted engineering thinking and design thinking that we are having right now. For instance, I mean, just for the information of also the young people who are here, see, the national highway was built and we all wanted this national highway to grow, to become bigger. But now when they made it bigger, they have literally eliminated about 75 to 80% of people from even riding there in that. You know, all the bikes have gone, all the scooters will be going, all the auto rickshaws will be off the road. It will be access control, which means all the lorries and the buses, and the cars will go. I call it mobility apartheid. You could have done a completely different road with that, but then what we did is we removed 80% of the road. Okay, so leaving it there, and then the way it has been built, it was completely rebuilt, and I can just guarantee. I mean, I just go ahead and say that every monsoon we are going to have at least 100 places across this national highway on the eastern side flooded. It's going to flood massively, and this highway is going to cost exactly what we thought the silver line would cost. So it's not about infrastructure, not wanting infrastructure. It's about wanting the right kind of thing. And unfortunately, our politicians, our bureaucrats have no sense of ecology and no sense of hydrology and no sense of Kerala's landscape. And they go ahead and just make all these statements and then want to just develop with this simple, very, very casual use of development. Now, coming back to elections, I think it's time we started talking about fundamental questions which are not just about this very casual way of saying development. You know, anywhere you go, bigger sanam, bigger sanam, bigger sanam. Why is it not happening, or why is it happening, and how should it happen is not being discussed at all. That is where all these concerns that we are talking about, and they're not just environmental concerns, there are social concerns, there are economic concerns, financial concerns, there are concerns regarding materials. You know, how much of stone and how much of mud sand do we really have? That kind of questions will have to be asked at some point. So beyond all this rhetoric, it will go there. Now, the other question that we discussed about jobs. See, there is, I mean, in all this kind of things that we are talking about, it is all dependent on the kind of resources that Kerala has, the kind of land area that Kerala has with such intense population. What is the kind of development infrastructure that you do that you can give jobs? Now, Kerala exported people, or quote unquote migrated out of Kerala. It's not a new thing. For Kerala, migration has been like traditional. It's convention. I mean, we have migrated for centuries, and that's why we are such a a diverse, very liberal country. I mean, state, because people come back and then a new life is seen here. So much of development of Kerala is also because we have had such levels of migration. So let's not have a big problem with migration. It's aspirations, and if we are not satisfying our aspirations here, we will move out. And it's not that, but it's great to hear that a lot of people want to continue to work here. So there must be things that must be done here to see how much we can build jobs here. But what is more important and more critical for me is not just about jobs. It's about higher education itself. I mean, Gautam, you are a CET and I am a CET. And when I did my CET was one of the top institutes, not just in Kerala, in India. We had such a pride over it. But you know what? This is in the 1980s and 90s. But right now, what happens? You take any educational institution in Kerala, we are nowhere in terms of quality and in terms of ranking across the country. Nowhere. I mean, somebody goes from here to even study in a Loyola College in Chennai. How does a Loyola College in Chennai not be better than a university college in Kerala? What is it that is causing this problem here? So we have actually messed up we have done relatively good at public education, but we've messed up with higher education. So the new government that is coming in have to really, really work on building the quality and content in higher education, at least pick up a few colleges to make them colleges of excellence across the country. And then we will see that everything else also falls in line. Just like you're talking about good infrastructure, bringing some of the quality of life in Kerala, even higher education, in that sense, will bring in a lot of goodness in Kerala. That is just one point I thought I should make.
Okay, and thank you for that. So I think we'll wrap the show, but we need to go to everybody for their recommendations. Tell me, Anisha, what is your recommendation for the week?
It's a collection of essays called Hopes and Impediments by Chinua Achebe. There's a very interesting essay on how fiction can talk about truth.
How fiction can talk about truth.
Yes.
Okay.
How lies can tell you the truth, technically.
Gautam, what is yours?
I think I'll go ahead and recommend this book called The Great Mental Models by Shane Parrish. I think that's a book that will develop your process of thinking into first principles, second order, and, the way you should think ideally to get situations sorted without repercussions.
It should come as no surprise, but my recommendation is my book, Touching Grass. It's available wherever you look for books. So, yeah.
I mean, in the current situation, in the context of the discussions that we have had, I am reminded of this book called Downut Economics. Downut or whatever you call it, Downut Economics. This is by an author called Kate Raworth. She's an economist called Kate Raworth. It's a must read. I would recommend this book strongly because for once, she has actually proposed a model of economics where, or development, let's say, where you conceive a donut, there's a hole in the center and there's the outer side, which is like empty. And the center hole is the problematic, the social welfare concerns. So you have a safety net, people don't fall here. And then in the donut, people live. And then the external side is the planetary boundaries. So on one side, you build the planetary boundaries, which means you don't do things which will destroy the planet or destroy the ecosystems. And then you do things which will make people poor and live in squalor and hunger and all that. So this is the balance that I think is very critical. It vibes with what you are also trying to say. Welfare is very, very critical. The bandwidth of development is also very critical. But then what is also critical is the planetary boundaries. You cannot exceed that.
I just went to take this book, which I am reading currently. I forgot the name. So it's The Secret Network of Nature by Peter Wolleben. I mean, I just read a few chapters, but it's really makes her understand with the very fragile connections in the nature. Like, how does it, when we talk about this butterfly effect and all, no? So kind of few connections is mentioned. I just read a few chapters.
Did you run somewhere to pick this book?
Yeah, you're panting.
Because you're panting now. This is the most important recommendation for South Central. Somebody's actually ran to get that book.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
a very interesting book. I also read like some chapters, so like I'm super cool to like.
So I'm going to make 3 quick recommendations. One is Rachita Taneja's Touch Grass. Please buy it yourself and buy copies as gift for people. She's got an excellent collection of cartoons. Some are really funny. And I was mentioning this article, Women Are Traveling Like They're Possessed. Where are they going? Bus Journeys Through Pole-Bound Karnataka by Uma Vishnu in the Indian Express. And my third recommendation is Joanna Diksha's article in Scroll, Why Public Spaces in India Are a Minefield for Children with Intellectual Disabilities. So that's it for the week. Thank you very much, Gautam, Akhina, Sridhar. Cast your vote. Tell everybody else to vote. And then let's see who wins the elections this time. And we can go back to our normal settings. I'm actually getting tired of election coverage. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my producer, Bhuvan Malik. Thank you to Ajay, our production assistant, Jasim Ali, our editor, Sukanya and Yana, who do our socials. Keep watching, keep listening, and do not forget Srinivasan Jain is in Assam. Manisha Pandey is going to Bengal, so is Atul. Pooja Prasanna is in Kerala. Do contribute to election fund because that's the only way we can cover elections.